What's up guys, One Mind Syndicate's very own Sound Alchemist, right back at it again, bringing you some more lore of the Warhammer 40k universe. This time I'm bringing you guys a highly requested character, Commissar Yarrick. Now this is a very special episode because there will be no interruptions at all. So let's get into it. Commissar Yarrick's birth name is Sebastian Varden. Sebastian was born on Taros 3. Sebastian was orphaned at the age of 7. He was raised by his maternal grandfather in a small community near the new Cadion hive city. His grandfather was an Imperial Guard veteran sergeant. At the age of 10, a great orc invasion struck Taros 3, and young Sebastian had to survive alone. The boy hid from the greenskins, laying traps, killed Gretchen, foraged for food, and generally did everything he could to survive. All the tactics and tricks were learned from his grandfather. Several months later, an Imperial relief flotilla arrived on Taros 3 and deployed multiple Imperial Guard regiments to fight the orc invasion. Sebastian was discovered by an Imperial Guard squad on patrol. The boy took the name of his grandfather, Yarrick. Yarrick was taken by the Imperius Schola Progeum to be educated and indoctrinated like most commissars. He learned the orc language while fighting the greenskins during a war on the world of Vrun. The bulk of the language was learned from a human raider whom was captured by the orcs. His years with the Imperial Guard were eventful ones, as he served in over a dozen war zones and with regiments from Necromunda and Luther McIntyre.
Yarrick took it upon himself to extensively study the orc mind and was considered one of the Imperium's leading experts on orcs, even before Armageddon.
Yarrick's final assignment before retirement was to run the recruitment program to rebuild the Armageddon Imperial Guard Regiment. He was scheduled to retire on the day a massive orc war landed on the planet. After the first war in Armageddon, Yarrick was banished to Hades' hive city by Hermann von Strab, the planetary governor of Armageddon. Von Strab had been described as the greatest waste of flesh and bone born in the last 500 years by Princeps Prime Kurtitz Mannheim of the Iron Skull's Titan Legion. Under von Strab's incompetent leadership, the planet fell bit by bit until the orcs reached Hades' hive, where Commissar Yarrick was waiting. During the first assault on Hades' hive, the orc warlord Ughart, one of Gagskul's most prominent underlings, drove the bulk of his forces towards Yarrick's position. Ughart was able to engage the elderly Commissar in single combat, where he used his power claw to sever Yarrick's right arm at the elbow. Fighting the pain and shock like no mortal man, Yarrick swung his sword and beheaded the orc warlord, who had lowered his guard, believing the Humi to be finished. Yarrick was said to have ripped the warlord's power claw off and flashed it in front of the attackers, striking fear in the orcs and prompting the Imperial defenders to surge forward and leap upon the aliens. Battlefield legend has it that only after the orc assault was pushed back from the city that Yarrick allowed himself the luxury of passing out. Yarrick had the warlord's power claw modified to suit him and attached it as a prosthetic limb. This is one of the rare times that orc technology was able to be modified for use by another race. Word of Yarrick's triumph over the warlord spread throughout the ranks of the orcs. Everywhere the Commissar fought the orcs, ran in terror. The Commissar exchanged his left eye for a pulse laser bioimplant, playing on the orc superstition that he had an evil eye, as they called him the Baal eye that could kill with a glance. Commissar Yarrick became the reason the defenders held strong. He brought the Hive City back from the brink of defeat countless times. Yarrick fought so ferociously that eventually Warlord Gagskull Mag Ulrich Thraka himself joined the attack, leading his forces from the front. Hades' hive became a personal battle for the two warriors. Gagskull used every tactic he could to take down Yarrick, without success. 6 months after Gagskull entered the fight, Yarrick realized that Imperial defenders could not hold their position for long. The Commissar organized the remaining Imperial forces and managed to escape from the greenskin trap. On the final assault by the orcs, Yarrick was terribly injured as he aided his regiment in retreat, and it took many months for him to recover from the injuries he sustained during that final battle. Eventually, the war ended with the arrival of Commander Dante of the Blood Angels, whom the defenders of Armageddon turned to for leadership. Yarrick accepted nominal retirement and returned to his training role, but the knowledge that Gag School was still at large proved too much of a distraction, and only months later he reported back for active duty, vowing that he would not rest until the day Gag School Mag Ulrich Thraka was hunted down and killed. The Commissar pursued his nemesis for 10 years. Gag School only attacked Yarrick in rearguard actions when necessary, but eventually Yarrick forced the war boss down on the once imperial planet of Golgotha. Gag School was not as dumb as he seemed. Golgotha was a trap. When the two forced engaged in combat, a secondary space hulk hidden behind the planet's moon attacked the Imperial force from behind. The Imperial Navy was driven off by the Space Hulk, and Yarrick was trapped in a smaller, less wall created by Gag School and his Goths. So vicious was the Orc attack that all humans were exterminated, leaving Yarrick alone to be captured by Gag School. Yarrick was stripped away of his bionic claw and Bale Eye. The defenseless Commissar was thrown down a chute into a pit of squigs. For several days, Yarrick captured and killed squigs using their massive quills as improvised steps to build a ladder to get back up the chute. When the Commissar finally reached the chute and was able to crawl out of the pit, Gag School was waiting for him, as if the war boss had known all along the human would make it out alive. He was thrown in with the other human slave prisoners on the Space Hulk. Yarrick set about organizing a revolt amongst the human slaves. Since the human work crews were used haphazardly by the orcs as a slave detail, they managed to crudely map a large part of the Hulk in the course of their labors. Yarrick's original plan was to attack a part of the orc vessel that held a giant orc head, believed to be a temple to the orc gods. His hope was to find Gag School there and kill the warlord once and for all. The other prisoners convinced Yarrick to escape and warn the Imperium instead. Yarrick reluctantly agreed. One of the work gangs sabotaged a large orcish ammunition dump. Yarrick and a dozen other slaves slipped away in the confusion. Unfortunately, the escape vehicle was inexpertly taken by the mech boys for customization. With the threat of detection, the pilot of the group sacrificed himself by creating a massive explosion and a diversion for the rest of the escapees. The group moved towards the Hulk Temple to attack Gag School. Each escapee sacrificed themselves to give Yarrick a chance to reach the top of the structure and finally confront his hated foe. Once at the top of the temple, Yarrick realized it was the Space Hulk's command bridge. Unfortunately, there was no trace of Gag School. Yarrick quickly dispatched the mech boys that were maintaining the stations and realized his only option was to activate all systems in the ship in hope of tearing the Hulk from the inside. Yarrick activated all systems and watched as massive explosions erupted alongside the ship and raced towards him. Commissar Yarrick was ready to give his soul to the Emperor. I hope you guys enjoyed this version of 40k Facts. Of course, we do not know if Commissar Yarrick has truly given up his soul for the Emperor, but you guys will find out if you click on the link above, and it will take you to a bonus video where we have 20 more facts on Commissar Yarrick. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I have been the Sound Alchemist, part of One Mind Syndicate, signing out.